salute, big salute, big salute, big salute. Big salute to my loved ones, my support squad, man, my support goons, man. Big salute, man. I love y'all, man. I can't say it enough, so I'm gonna tell y'all every day. I love y'all, man. I love y'all, even though I can't see y'all face to face. I know we got the connection, like AT&T long distance connection. Yeah, and one day soon, we'll all be together. We'll all be a tight knit unit. You know what I'm saying? One day soon, cause the process is now. Process is started now. No, I gotta help get things set up. You know, so the process is now, y'all. So big salute, big salute. Big salute to my big brother, JT the Bigger Figure, a.k.a. Fig Panamera, BKA Locks is home. Bah, bah, bah. Oh, Glocks is on. About knock my hat off with my hat. You know, that pistol be having kickback. Be having kickback. But yeah, y'all, let's get into it. We're going to continue where we left off yesterday with our reading. How consciousness works. Let's talk about how consciousness works, y'all. How people perceive and turn their perception into memories. A good analogy of how consciousness perceives is the use of a strobe light. Consciousness perceives physically in 5 different ways. Consciousness perceives physically in 5 different ways that we call the 5 senses. We'll talk about the senses of seeing because it's a good representative of the others. Okay. The sense of seeing, as do all other senses, uses synchronization of vibration in order to see. By that I mean all objects are actually vibrations, physically speaking. They are not any kind of permanently solid matter. All is vibration, and the vibration appears to our senses as something solid. Synchronization of vibration means our consciousness also vibrates. Sound and resonance. Our consciousness also vibrates. When we synchronize the vibration of our consciousness with the vibration of physical object, then the 2 vibrations have the same speed, and we see the object. Everything that we see is vibrating at the same speed as some part of our conscious mind. And everything we don't see is vibrating at a different speed. When I'm inside a room looking at the objects, my consciousness vibrates at the same speed as all the objects I see. Each object has its own unique speed of vibration. That's what separates objects from each other. It's obvious then that the mind can vibrate parts of itself at many different speeds, matching the vibration of each object, enabling us to see many objects at the same time. The mind is unlimited. It can parcel itself into as many different parts as are needed to see as many objects as possible that it wants to see. Part 2. Now, a strobe light can be used to demonstrate the mechanism of seeing. A good way to do it is to shine a light on the moving blade of a fan. But first, let me go into more details about the movement of fan blades, so that those who have never seen a strobe light freeze a fan blade can understand how this works. Oh man. Imagine a medium-sized room fan in front of you. First of all, it's unplugged from electricity. So there's no danger of the blade rotating and injuring your fingers. Besides, you're doing this only in your imagination. What you're going to do is remove the front cover and rotate the blade with your finger. Place your finger on one of the blades and gently, without removing your finger, rotate the blade a full circle. Start at the top position, the 12 o'clock position, and rotate the blade clockwise through the 3 o'clock, then the 6 o'clock, then the 9 o'clock, and back to the top position. You rotated the blade one full circle. If you did this gently but quickly, taking only 1 second, then you rotated the blade one full circle in 1 second. A circle is called a cycle, so you've rotated it at a speed of 1 cycle per second. A circle or cycle is also called a revolution by modern scientists. Not the revolution of war, but like the revolution of the earth around the sun. So that speed is also called rev per second. Revolution per second. Part 3. A strobe light is a type of light that turns on and off quickly. Scientists call that pulsing, like the pulse of your heartbeat. So it's a pulsing light. If you turn your room light on and then turn it off quickly, you're pulsing it. If you do this in 1 second, then the pulse speed is 1 pulse per second. That means in 1 second, the light went from off to on and back to off again, which is a full cycle or a full pulse. So when you rotate the fan a full cycle in 1 second and your friend turns the room light on and off in 1 second, both of you are completing a cycle in 1 second. You completed a cycle of rotating the blade in 1 second, and your friend completed the cycle of pulsing the light in 1 second. The first action represents material objects, and the latter represents the sense of sight, which is part of our consciousness. I'll try to explain further. We'll come back to the fan blade because it's a good example to use. For now, let's replace the fan blade with a white ball stuck to the end of a thin black stick. We make the stick thin and black so we don't see it. We want to concentrate only on the white ball. You are hiding behind a black screen and everything in the room is black, so that this white ball is the most visible thing. Instead of using the room light, we leave it turned off. We use a flashlight instead, directed straight at the ball. You're going to move the ball back and forth. That is, hide it behind the screen, then expose it again, once every second. So when you begin, the ball can be seen. Then you pull it back behind the screen, and at the end, you expose it again. That's 1 full cycle. At the same time, your friend is turning the flashlight on and off in sync with your movement of the ball, such that when you pull the ball and hide it, he turns the light off, and when you expose it again, he turns the flashlight on. When the flashlight is off, there's total darkness. When it's on, the ball can be seen. Part 4. The audience watching are going to see it like this. If your movements are perfectly synchronized, then they will see the ball in the same place every time the light is on, and see nothing otherwise. If you didn't tell them what you were doing and asked them what they saw, they'll say they saw a flashlight shining on a white ball, and the ball was in the same place all the time, not moving. The reason is because you moved the ball only in total darkness and exposed it again, only when the light come on. So they have no way of knowing that the ball disappeared every time the room turned dark. To them, the ball was perfectly still in exactly the same position all the time, and the light shone on it on and off. Someone or your mind may say that perhaps they saw the ball in slightly different positions now and then, because being human and imperfect, you couldn't place the ball in exactly the same spot every time, and the eye can pick up the slight difference. Well, imagine that extremely accurate machine was used to move the ball, placing it in the exact same spot every time. We can take the electric fan to be such an accurate machine, as you'll soon see. Also imagine that another accurate machine was used to pulse the flashlight on and off. such that the two movements were perfectly synchronized. Such an accurate pulsing machine is a strobe light, or what scientists call a stroboscope. Stroboscope. Okay. Part 5. So let's get back to the fan blade and strobe light. A strobe light can pulse very fast, on and off in 1 second. Is nothing to it. It can pulse on and off 1,000 times a second or even faster. So too can a fan blade move much faster than 1 cycle per second. It can rotate 1,000 times per second if it's a very fast fan. Now put a spot of fluorescent white paint about the size of a penny on one of the blades. Before that, make sure that all the blades and the rest of the fan are painted black, so that when you shine a light on it, all you see is this white spot of paint. I think you can now see the spot of paint represents the white ball in the previous experiment, and how the strobe light represents a fast and accurately operated flashlight. We essentially have the same experiment, but we've made it fast and accurate, and we're able to synchronize the movements perfectly. Strobe lights have adjustable pulse speeds, so set the on-off speed at 1,000 pulses per second. Then set the fan speed at 1,000 rotations per second, or 1,000 revs per second. Make the room totally dark and turn the fan and the strobe on, and watch what you see. The white spot of paint on the blade passes the top position 1,000 times every second. The strobe is aimed right at it and turns on 1,000 times every second in perfect synchrony. That means whenever the fast rotating white spot is not in the top position, all is in darkness. As soon as it reaches the top position, the strobe light lights it up. The light relentlessly catches it every time it passes the top position. Part 6. What do you see? First of all, our eyes cannot follow the movement going that fast without help. If the strobe was off and the room light was on, the movement of the fan blade would just be a blur, making it impossible to see the individual blades, let alone the outline of the white paint dot. But with the help of strobe, everything is selectively left in the dark except the white dot. But only when it passes the top position, that's when the strobe lights it up. Then quickly, in one one thousandth of a second, lets it go in darkness. Then light it up again as soon as it passes the top position. Again, I ask, what do you see in all this? If you've seen this type of experiment before, you already know. If not, I'll tell you what you'll see. You'll see the white spot of paint simply sitting still in that top position, continuously. Think about that. Think about that. You know that the white spot is not in that top position continuously because the fan blade is rotating, but your eyes will see it as if it's there continuously because the period of darkness when the strobe is off is so short that the eye cannot see it. All the eye sees is the light when the strobe is pulsed on because the eye is attracted to light and not to darkness. And every time the strobe is pulsed on, the dot is in the same position. That's why you'll see the dot continuously sitting still in the same position, never disappearing. Now, what would happen if I picked up the fan and moved it back and forth around the room with the strobe light following it? You'll see the dot moving back and forth according to where I take the fan. Part 7. I hope you can imagine all this if you haven't actually seen it. That is similar to how our consciousness causes our senses of sight to see. All objects in the universe are vibration and nothing else. There are no atoms, no molecules, no electrons, no anything of any kind that is solid. Such a thing does not exist. If it did, ask yourself, what would it be made of? It would have to be made of smaller particles themselves, made of even smaller particles to infinity, which means it would never be found. That means it doesn't exist. Anything that exists can be found and will be found by black people. That is the purpose of the universe, to find all that exists, that has been created by the original gods and all our ancestors. And they are all eventually found. That's when the universe is said to have attained its purpose and comes to an end, to be replaced by an almost infinitely larger one with new creations to be found by our descendants. Mm, boy, that's deep. So matter is the vibration of consciousness. So matter is the vibration of consciousness. Consciousness, or the mind, condenses itself through 7 stages, starting with the highest vibration that we call magnetism, then electricity, light, and ether, until it reaches the lowest vibrations that we call gases, liquids, and solids. So part of our consciousness is outside ourselves, vibrating as matter, and the other part is inside us, vibrating as our senses of perception. This is vitally important to understand, as you'll later see, in order to comprehend how memories are formed and recalled. Part 8, 7, 2, 3, 7, 2. This is a long one. Okay, we're gonna finish part 8 and then we'll come back with part 9. In truth, we don't have an inside and outside. All is in you, and you separate yourself into endless things by means of unique vibrations that you give to each thing condensed from your mind, your body being your primary vibration. As I was saying, matter vibrates outside us, and our senses of perception vibrate inside us. The fan blade with the painted dot represents the part of our consciousness that is outside. The strobe light represents the part that is inside us. When the two vibrate at the same rate, we see the objects, its name being its speed of vibration. In other words, every object has a unique vibration, or to be more specific, a unique symphony of vibrations. And that symphony is its name. An apple is a particular symphony of vibrations. Part of the symphony vibrates as the color red, part as the form around, part as the appleish smell, part as the feeling cold when we touch it, and part as it tastes. Another apple is a different symphony, but the same kind of song. A stone is a completely different song that an apple is a completely different song than an apple, as is every other object. Our perception is an entire school of symphonies bringing together many different songs so that we can perceive many objects at the same time. Our mind is unlimited. There is no limit to the number of songs we can hear at the same time. At the end of the universe, when we reach total divine unity, we hear all the songs of the universe simultaneously, meaning we perceive all things at once by being all vibrations at once, which in truth is one vibration, one heartbeat, one vibration. So how do we see ordinarily? We adjust the speed of our strobe, that part of our consciousness we call the sense of sight, using its instruments, the eye, and make that part of the mind vibrate at the same rate as the object we desire to see. As the first self, we know the specific speed of vibration of all things. That is, we know the true names of all things, because the true name of a thing is the song of its vibration. Ah, so your name is the song of your vibration. Ain't that make sense? So by speaking the unspeakable name of each thing, we cause perceiving part of our mind to vibrate at the speed of that thing, and we synchronize that results causes us to see it exactly the same way we see the dot when its speed of vibration is synchronized with that of the strobe light. Okay. So we're gonna break this down into two parts. So we're gonna come back with number 9. We're gonna come back with number 9. Yeah. And it's getting more juicy too, because they getting ready to talk about the judges and the chiefs and the 144,000 and the 24 elders, and yeah. So we'll be back. We'll be back. Y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna go make me some more tea, and we'll be right back. Big salute, big salute. Love y'all, man. Aye.